So if you recently quit your job, raised $5 million from A16Z, and spent the last 6 months building an AI agent orchestration platform, I have some terrible news. Yesterday, Anthropic casually dropped Claude-managed agents into public beta. It's basically AWS for AI agents, and it mass obsoleted your entire startup overnight. Here's what happened. Anthropic built a complete hosted infrastructure for deploying autonomous AI agents at scale. Secure sandboxed containers, state management, credential handling, error recovery, end-to-end tracing, all of it baked into their platform. And they priced it at $0 or 8 per active session hour. Let that sit for a second. An autonomous agent running 24/7 costs you about $57 a month in runtime fees. That's less than your Notion subscription, bro. There are currently over 177 AI agent frameworks and orchestration platforms tracked in this ecosystem, and basically all of them just became a line item on Anthropic's feature list. LangChain, 97,000 GitHub stars, the production standard for graph-based orchestration. Crew AI, 45,000 stars, powers 12 million daily agent executions. Every single core feature these frameworks sell, the state management, the context handling, the tool orchestration, is now a native managed service you can spin up with a YAML file. The announcement hit 2 million views in 2 hours. Palantir stock dropped 6% on the same day. People are calling it a rapper extinction event, and honestly, I don't think that's dramatic enough. And the thing is, if you've ever actually tried to build agent infrastructure from scratch, you know why Anthropic doing this is such a kill shot. Because keeping an autonomous AI agent alive is an engineering nightmare. These things get trapped in infinite loops where they repeat the same tool call 58 times, burning through your API credits while accomplishing absolutely nothing. The context window fills up with intermediate garbage, and the model's reasoning starts degrading, which the industry politely calls context rot, but which I call your agent getting progressively dumber the longer it runs. They drift off task because they're probabilistic systems pretending to be deterministic ones. They receive valid JSON responses that contain zero useful information and trick themselves into thinking they're making progress. Building the agent loop itself was never the hard part. The hard part was the safety controls, the cost containment, the graceful degradation, the state persistence across crashes. Startups built the easy part and charged subscription prices for it. Anthropic built the whole thing and priced it at infrastructure cost. And they moved the orchestration layer directly onto their own hardware, which means the latency advantages that third-party tools never had are now baked in by default. Their internal testing showed a 10-point improvement in task success rates versus standard prompting loops. It's a massive win for solo developers and an extinction-level event for middleware companies. But this isn't new. This is the oldest pattern in the tech industry, and it plays out every single time. AWS enabled the startup boom by making compute cheap. Then AWS started releasing services that competed directly with the startups built on its platform. Heroku built its entire business on AWS infrastructure. Then AWS launched Elastic Beanstalk and later AppRunner, and Heroku's differentiation evaporated. Facebook had Parse, a mobile backend every startup depended on. They shut it down, and every company built on it lost their entire backend overnight. And look, Anthropic's annual revenue just hit $30 billion. Their valuation is $380 billion. 8 out of 10 Fortune 10 companies are already their customers. They're not building a model anymore. They're building a platform. And platforms always consume the middleware. The training data generated by wrapper startups using Anthropic's API literally taught Anthropic what features to build natively. You were paying them to learn how to replace you. And you're probably thinking, okay, well, I'm not building an orchestration layer, so this doesn't affect me. But that's not the lesson here, my man. The lesson is about where you're building and what you're building on top of. If your entire product is a thin convenience layer over someone else's API, you don't have a business. You have a feature request that hasn't been prioritized yet. And the moment it gets prioritized, you're done. It doesn't matter how many GitHub stars you have. It doesn't matter how much you raised. Anthropic went from $1 billion in revenue to $30 billion in 16 months. When a company is scaling that fast, Every gap in their platform is a gap they're actively closing. And if you're standing in that gap, you're not filling it. You're in the way. The gold rush metaphor gets thrown around a lot in this industry. Everybody says be the guy selling the pickaxes, but nobody tells you what happens when the mining company builds its own excavator. Your pickaxe shop doesn't pivot. It just closes. Orchestration was never a product. It was a temporary absence of a feature. And the only things that survive a platform expansion are the things a platform cannot absorb: proprietary data, deep workflow integration, problems so specific that no general-purpose system will ever bother solving them. Everything else is borrowed time. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.